Okay, so now that we've started Bootstrap, it's really important. One of the things that you see in Bootstrap that if you haven't been exposed to is the ARIA, ARIA. Sometimes Kyle, Web Dev Simplified, will include that, but he doesn't really talk about it. And it really is important, not necessarily that you understand all the ARIA type attributes, but that you have an idea about what accessibility is and why it's important. So, for this assignment, what I want you to do is let's step away a little bit from the code and the rest and look at the web through the lens of accessibility because it is an important part of what, as web developers, we want to do. So what you're going to do is find a site you want to use. Now I'm going to use Ruby, not a big surprise given that I've been using mine all along, right? And so each of you need to choose a different one, no duplicates, okay? And then choose your adventure, okay? So I'm going to talk about that and then I'll come back up. So I've given you different ways here to navigate the site as somebody um, might that you wouldn't naturally think about unless you have somebody in your life that has some of these challenges like the mouse is lava. So try to use the keyboard. So this is actually kind of an interesting one for me. Like I was actually, I'll do it this way. I was actually just tabbing around to see how well I could navigate. And it's like, I mean, that's, there is just something about that to try to do that. So, right, so can you see exactly where the focus ring was, right? If you get stuck on a pop-up, right, it becomes invisible. So just your experience of doing this, right? And then you can use Shift Tab to go backwards. So you need to choose two of these, okay? So the other one is the silent killer. Now this one was also very interesting, and now if you've never turned on, or maybe by accident you've turned on the voiceover, I just did this a minute ago on my Mac where I did Command F5, or on Windows, or you can get an extension, is actually to close your eyes and try to find the contact or the about by listening, right? And use your voice if possible. So, this is one of those, again, I think you'll be kind of surprised. And really, what we want you to have on this experience is why, when we're building web pages, we really want to think about it. So there's two more, which is the color contrast. So this is where we've been in the dev tools, right? So when we're in the dev tools, let's say I choose up here, and then I go in and look at that and see if there's any color. Well, if there's not color specifically for that item, then I would find something that does have a color because we're looking for contrast, right? So I might come up here. So you might have to hunt around a little bit, but when you click on the picker, you actually get these contrasts, okay? So this is what you're looking for, right? So when you're looking, you right click, and this is what I just did. Check the inspect, go to color, right? The color picker will show a contrast ratio. If it shows green, it passes. If it shows X, it does not. So notice the one I just had does not. So there's not enough contrast here. So really it's one of those things that we're not necessarily talking about how to build them. We're just talking about what to look for. Okay, so the last one you can choose from. Okay, so we've gone over three. The last one is the ghost image. So alt text, right? If an image doesn't load, if the image doesn't load, does the user know what it is? How to test, right click on a major image on the site and hit inspect again and look for the alt tab or the alt tag, right? So I would come here, I would hit inspect, and I would go, okay, so I see the source. Do I see an alt tag? So sometimes this is kind of interesting because it may take moving or, oh, there it is. Okay, so actually it took and it gave me a width of what it was. It was a little hard to see, and I would say, not a great alt tag, you guys, not a great one. So I see the source. So this is an example, right? So this would be a fill, in my opinion. So no alt tag would of course be fell, and a descriptive tag would be better. So I would say my example site didn't. I could probably look for something else and see if there was a better. Now the other way you can do it is sometimes you can just hang out there and it'll show you. Now that depends on how it's been coded as well. All right, so again, let me click on this one. So this is different than the other one, just to give you that. So this one also alt here, not great. Ruby, come on now. So okay, so those are your four. So those are your four tests. Choose at least two of them. Choose a different site. And then take a print screen of one of them, right? Now, in here, I realized after I looked at this, I didn't say resize, so always resize your print screens. Here's what you're going to name it. You're going to name your screenshot, not your screen show. Put it in your screenshots in your public. We've done this a couple times, so I feel like hopefully you have it. And then use your GitHub URL to embed into the post. If you're not sure how to do that, right? You can go back and look at the previous ones. Okay, so I hope you do want to do one substantive reply here, right? Look at look at somebody else's outputs and make a more in-depth comment or ask them a question about it. Okay, again, you can choose what print screen you'd use here. All right, talk to you later.